My good friend, Dan Bishop from North Carolina.
Thank you, Michael. If you notice, each one of the House Freedom Caucus members here today was part of the 20 on the floor in January. And what we did then is we took the initiative. And if you saw how it was reported in media all across the country, as Joe Scarborough actually was the guy who coined it in an interview I had on MSNBC, which I thought that, kudos to Joe Scarborough. He said that it was being catastrophized. And it was a great word. We learned that, oh my gosh, Republican governance is not going to get off the ground. It's going to be a disaster. Democrats are going to run the floor. What will happen if we have a negotiation over the speaker's vote for several days? Well, by the time it was over in 4 days, Kevin McCarthy was speaker, and we also had an agenda that was laid in for the Republican Party, for the House of Representatives, and for the American people. And here's the secret that we're letting you in on today, and why we're over here on the Senate side. And that is that there are courageous United States senators who are ready to take the initiative too. One's right behind me, Rick Scott. Mike Lee has always taken the time to work bicamerally with members across in the other chamber to see to it that we take the initiative on behalf of the American people. That's what we need to do. Now, Joe Biden's the one catastrophizing now, right? Because the last thing he seems to want is taking the initiative to do something new in Washington. The American people are way ahead of us up here. They know that we must get on with doing something new. Frankly, every one of you out there in the media, you know that we must get on to doing something. It must be terribly boring to watch, boring and terrifying at the same time, to watch the same thing happening in Washington every year, wait for the inevitable omnibus with a massive increase in the deficit, more woke and weaponized government, nothing ever changing. And you know we're heading towards some crash site, as Warren Davidson is fond of saying. You know that to be true. Well, the only way that's going to change is if someone takes the initiative. And that's what we've done. Just one example. How much does the censorship laundering complex that the government is running, how much does that cost? It's not just in the Foreign Influence Task Force at the FBI. It's not just in the Department of Homeland Security and CISA. It's not only at the Global Engagement Center at the State Department. How much does all of that cost? It's in the Defense Department. It's in the ODNI and the CIA. It's across the federal enterprise. How much does that cost the American taxpayer to fund the censorship of its people? That's what we're talking about when we say shrink Washington, grow America. Thank you to the senators for inviting us over. And I'm sorry, I'm supposed to introduce